The central Italian region of Tuscany evokes thoughts of rolling hills, sun-bathed vineyards, olive trees, and historic architecture.
Tuscany, you can find culture, history, food, wine, mountain, sea. It's a magic place.
Long dominated by the city-states of Siena and Florence, this was the birthplace of the Italian Renaissance. Viticulture in Tuscany predates the rise of the Roman Empire, dating back to at least the 8th century before the Common Era.
Ed è una regione che da sempre coltiva la vite, e da sempre la vite è un fattore importante per l'economia della Toscana.
There are many grapes grown throughout Tuscany, such as Vernaccia, Vermentino, Canaiolo, and Colorino, and even French grapes, like Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. Most of Tuscany's top appellations produce red wines. Vernaccia di San Gimignano is an exception, providing white wines from vineyards around its namesake hilltop town.
La Vernaccia ha una caratteristica molto importante. È matura molto tardi ed ha una buccia molto sottile. Dobbiamo stare attenti quando facciamo la pressatura. Ricorda la paglia bagnata, la mandorla, con un tocco di ananas, frutta esotica.
However, no grape is as widely planted or as identified with Tuscany as Sangiovese.
Sangiovese is Tuscany, more than any other variety.
Per me il Sangiovese è un grandissimo vitigno e che pochi vitigni possono esprimere a questi livelli, a queste concentrazioni.
Sangiovese has mainly, in my opinion, two typical flavors. That's the cherry and the violet. Then with the aging, it gets more earthy flavors.
Sangiovese really loves this very hot day, mild night. It loves clay, it loves rocks.
The most well-known wine of the region is Chianti. In 1716, Chianti became the first defined wine-growing area in all of Italy.
Chianti is a huge region between Florence in the north and Siena in the south.
È una denominazione che occupa quasi tutto il territorio toscano. Nel caso del Chianti, però la legge impone un minimo di 70% di uva sangiovese. Esce sul mercato il marzo successivo alla vendemmia. Per cui un vino giovane, un vino fresco.
Chianti Classico is the heartland of the Chianti zone. The region consistently provides the best examples of Chianti, and stricter rules are defined for its production.
If you want to have your wine marked with the Chianti Classico, there are certain rules about how to make wine here.
You must use Sangiovese up to at least 80%, not less than 80%. All the rest is a little bit free. I think this, as a rule, is even too large in a certain sense, because in my opinion, for a Chianti Classico, Sangiovese must be more than 80.
Another rule you have to follow is that your vineyards must be in the territory of Chianti Classico. And the territory is, everything is written. I mean, every single vineyard is registered.
We cannot produce more than 7.5 tons per hectare. We cannot have less than, let's say, 12% in alcohol.
Chianti Classico cannot be released until October 1st of the year following harvest, with Reserva wines requiring an additional year.
There are many rules to follow, but these are rules made at the end to obtain a good product.
If I want to drink and I want to taste really a great Chianti Classico, perfect food is for sure a Florentine steak. So you have this sweet meat and vibrant and slightly acidic wine that matches really perfectly.
By the late 1960s, there was a growing frustration with the restrictive rules of Chianti and limits on the use of international grapes geared to overseas markets. This led to the birth of the Super Tuscan style.
All the wines that were not able to be in an appellation, they are called Super Tuscan.
The original recipe of Chianti Classico was made of 4 grapes: Sangiovese, Canaiolo, red, and Trebbiano and Mavasia, white grapes.
When Gimignano was born in '71, It was not able to be a Chianti Classico because we decided to produce a red wine not using white grapes. It's funny in a certain sense. In '75, we decided to add a little bit of Cabernet to make a wine more approachable. So there was no chance to call this wine another way than table wine. And the Americans, then they decided to call this kind of wine Super Tuscan.
These rules have been changing in the past. In 1984, it was introduced the possibility not to use the white grapes, and then other grapes were allowed.
At the beginning, we were using much more oak, much more new oak. We were a little bit attracted by the use of oak. We really had the feeling that that was a mistake, because the use of oak, when it is too much, covers, in a certain sense, the style, covers the character of the wine. We are moving toward a much more smooth presence of oak in order to maintain clear and understandable the style and the characteristic of the grapes.
Not all Super Tuscans are blends of different grapes. Wineries wishing to make wine using 100% Sangiovese were forbidden from using the Chianti appellation.
It was my father's idea of making 100% Sangiovese. Everything started in the vintage 1977. At that time, normally, all wineries used to produce a Chianti Classico. And my father didn't want to follow this, let's say, recipe. They tried to make this wine only with Sangiovese. The result was excellent. But the curious thing is that that wine was not accepted to be a Chianti Classico because it was not made following the rules and labeled as a table wine. This is a paradox, maybe, because now I think we are one of the most traditional producers in the Chianti Classico area.
Whereas Chianti enjoys a legacy dating back centuries, Brunello di Montalcino has only recently achieved its status as one of Italy's most profound wines. History credits Clemente Santi of Biondi Santi with the invention of the style, as the producer was the first to isolate the Brunello clone and bottle it in 1865.
The idea was to make wine from pure Sangiovese. It was a great idea.
The medieval town of Montalcino and its surrounding hills overlap Chianti Senese in the southern reaches of Tuscany and encompass 24,000 hectares, although less than 2,000 are planted for Brunello.
Che quando si svinano sono vini piuttosto tannici, piuttosto anche difficili da bere e hanno bisogno di tempo.
The current aging requirements for Brunello state that the wine must age in wood for at least 2 years, and it may not be sold before January 1st of the 5th year following the harvest.
Brunello is a great and unique nose. A little of spicy, red fruit, violet, eucalipto.
Il pepe nero è evidente, è sinonimo di Sangiovese, cannella, chiodo di garofano e poi si evolve. Tabacco dolce, cedro del Libano. Questo vino si abbinava alle cacciagioni, alle carni rosse, a formaggi stagionati.
With the extended aging requirements, winemakers wanted something to drink while the Brunello was still maturing in the cellar. This led to the creation of Rosso di Montalcino.
Rosso di Montalcino is a pure Sangiovese, the same of Brunello, but we can release after 1 year. The most important difference is that the Rosso di Montalcino is more approachable at the beginning.
Tuscany's winemakers are rooted in tradition, but have their eyes on the future. Sangiovese remains the most important variety despite challenges from international grapes. Tuscan wines cover a broader spectrum than ever before and will continue to capture the attention of wine drinkers worldwide. The Guild of Sommeliers is a nonprofit membership organization for wine professionals. To join our online community, visit us on the web at guildsomm.com.